Olaito, the founder of Catholic Culture. I'd like to share a bit of my story to encourage someone out there. At 16, I graduated secondary education. Of course, the next thing would have been to, further, right? But my dad, a taxi driver and a father to 6 children, said he could not afford to send me further. My mom too, she couldn't afford it. So I was asked to choose a skill that I'd like to learn. I chose tailoring, and that is what I've been doing. But guess what? This is 21 years later, 21 good years later, and I have my NC, I have my BSc, and now my master's degree from the prestigious University of Lagos, School of First Choice, and the nation's pride. Yes, I'm from Ibadan. Of course, I love UI, but University of Lagos, where are you and the likes? People should chill. Unilag is still the School of First Choice. Greatest Akokite. Well, how did I achieve all of this? Check my next video for more information. Thank you. Yeah, I'm back. You people like gist. You still like gist. But let me continue. So, for the rest of 2024, which was the year I graduated, I went to work. I told my dad I wanted to work to make money. So I was working. I think my salary then maybe 4,000 or 5,000 thereabouts, if not less, for a whole 1 month. And then January 2005, my dad said, no, you have to now go and learn a skill. That was when he called me to go and learn the skill. So I stopped working. So I was enrolled and I started learning, and of course it was interesting. My seniors were there, and I learned really fast. So my boss, respect ma, she was great, she was the best. She would show us the work, even though, of course, like the normal, normal thing back then, you wash clothes, you cook, you do this and do that, you go on errands. But one thing I love her for, and I still respect her for, is the fact that she would make sure to show us. Unlike some then, back then, I know people that, in fact, don't let me talk too much, but I know people that they would send you message. For 3 years, you will learn and you will not even know anything. But my boss then, she would show us how to cut, and then it was fun because we would also cook. She would give us, and we also watch Yoruba movies. Back then, we used to watch Yoruba movies. Yes, so back then, they usually show Yoruba movies around 10 a.m. or so. So we'll resume around 7:30. Those that will go and wash clothes will wash clothes. Some will go and buy recharge card. She was selling recharge card then. And then some of us probably cook or something. And then by 10, before that we'll cut, she will show us, you will practice, and then we'll start sewing while we are watching Yoruba movie. She had television in her shop then, so it was fun too, but of course some were painful. So it was fun. I was able to learn quickly, and then my mom, after some months, she got me a sewing machine. I can remember very well, 5,000 naira for a used sewing machine. New one back then was 8,000 naira. You can imagine how much they're selling that machine now. So new one then was 8,000, but she got me the used one, 5,000 naira. Before she could even raise that 5,000 naira, it was a lot. So I'm really grateful. She sacrificed a lot for me. So, but going back to the story, so I was a fast learner, so in no time I was already working from home. When I get home at my free time, I will work. I started making small change, and all of that. So it was now time for census, in Nigeria. And my boss, I think she had some connection then, and she was able to help my seniors, even my juniors. Of course, my juniors that were older than me, but of course they were my junior in terms of the job. So she was able to help them get a slot for them to go and work, that time. So, but for me, she wanted me to stay back and look after her shop. She promised to settle me, from whatever they get from the census back then. But unfortunately, like I was saying, my mom was a tool seller, so I would go to my tailoring from morning till 6, 7 thereabout, depending on the season. There's no season. If there's season, we even do all night sometimes or close by 11. But if there's no season, I'll close and go to my mommy's tool stand and help her and all of that. And so it happened that while I was learning, and they no, they had already gone for the census then, and I was the only one left at the store. They went for the census to make money. They promised to tip me, and then I was one resuming and looking after the store. So on this fateful day, I slept off and they stole my boss's phone. And it was, of course, you won't blame her. She was not happy about it. And back then, if you remember, there was phone call, Samsung, 3310, Nokia. So she would, put enough credit on that phone for people to call. So that phone was stolen along with some credit on it. So my boss was not happy about it, and of course she said I was going to pay her. So she said I was going to pay her. Of course, there were a lot of drama around that. My mom was like, well, this story is interesting, but it was bad then. My boss, I'm sorry, of course I don't blame her. So it was a police case then that, my mom now said, but that what she can afford is to be paying. Okay, so my boss said our money was like 30-something thousand naira, but then 30-something, like a phone and the credit on it, 30-something thousand sha. So my mom said what she can afford is 2K every month too. So that's how I will now take 2,000 naira every month to police station. That was my first police case in my life. Well, that's the only police case that I've ever, that was the only thing that took me to police station then. So I would go every month to pay the 2,000. Of course, I think when we paid up to like 18,000 naira, my boss now said I should not pay again. She was my best boss. Trust me, I went to learn at my own mother's, my mother's friend's place, and I can compare and tell you vividly that woman, my boss, she was the best. That I even went back, to do my freedom with her, despite everything that happened. But let me continue with my story of how I achieved all of this. So when I left at my boss's place, I went to work for my mom's friend for a while, but I was working for free. Of course, I was supposed to be learning, but I was working for free, but there was no much appreciation around that. And of course, it was as if I was too forward, because I was always like, cutting clothes and, trying to show the people I met there, like the junior and senior, like. So fortunately for me, one auntie was living on my street there. She offered me a job. So, there were a lot of like drama around working, learning. I was actually supposed to be learning, but I was working, of course, because I already know the job. Fine, not so much, but of course, you see, this our job. It's just for you to know the basics, and you keep growing. You cannot know everything at a time. Of course, there's corset and all now, which we didn't even learn then. Then it was just that there was no princess cut, there was no bustier. It was just that, So this job, you just need the basics, and then you can keep learning. So, I was learning from my mom's friend, but I was, of course, working for her. What I was doing then was something I should be paid for, but I was learning. So, but there was no much. So fortunately for me, one auntie on my street, she already started her own fashion business, and she needed a tailor. So her store was inside Federal College of Education, Akoka, back then. So I went and I was working for her, and she was paying me 6,000 naira. I didn't tell my parents at home that I was being paid though. They thought I was going to learn, of course, because it was now good for me, because she can do trouser and some other things that I didn't get to learn from my boss. So, so I was fortunate to be learning from her, and she was paying me 6,000 naira. 6,000 naira is a big salary. 6,000 naira is around 50,000 naira salary now, or 40,000 naira. So, she was paying me 6,000 naira, and I was working for her inside Africa. But of course, I really just wanted to go to school. I really just love school. And so I started, asking questions about admission, into Federal College of Education, Akoka FC, greatest Akoka. When I say greatest Akoka, so you see where I'm coming from now. So, I started asking questions about admission, and before you know it, that same 2006 that I left my boss and that I worked for a while for this my new boss too, Toby. She's the best, like the best boss I've ever worked for, the best. I still talk to her now. If I call her now, I'll ask her questions and all of that. So, I worked for her for a while, that 2006. And then I asked about the admission, and, I got the form, and that was how, I was given admission. I think I got the form for 2K or so then. And so it was time to pay school fees now. I now had to go and meet my parents, but I had not saved much from my salary. So I now had to go and meet my parents, and my dad, my mom. My dad supported me then. I think the 5K, my mom, myself, we raised the remaining. My school fees then was 16,800 naira. I can still remember vividly for year one. But that was the last school fees they paid for me, because when I now got to school, I was still working for that my boss, but at the time I stopped because it was affecting my my schooling. So I had to stop, and then I started working for myself, like working for people, sewing for my friends. That was how I was sustaining, and gradually I was sustaining till I finished. I graduated NCE. So like I was saying, Catholic culture would have been bigger than this, because I had already made contacts when I was in this hostel, 300 level. Then I was already sewing. I took my machine to school. I was sewing and making money. That was how I was sustaining myself. I was saving gradually, and a lot of things happened in my life, that I won't say I regret, because they are still part of my blessings. But I marriage came, and the children came, of course. But when I had my first baby, I still really just wanted to go to school. That was when I enrolled, to do my part-time program, distance learning from the University of Lagos. So I did that for like 5 years. 2017, I graduated, and I still continue with life, And then 2021, something happened in my life. It was like a dark moment in my life. 2021, that I almost even took my life back then. 2021 was like late 2021 was a dark, of course before then it was actually really bad, like I was just not in a good state. So but 2021 September, something happened that I almost took my life, and this lady in particular encouraged me to go out, to meet people, that I should just go out. I should be going out. And of course, one thing about me is school environment just makes me really happy. Like school environment, I just don't know why. I love school environment. So the lady encouraged me. She said I should just go and do my master's, that I'll even be able to meet people, I'll be able to make friends and all of that. And guess what? That was how I enrolled, though, that same 2021. Unfortunately, strike happened, and we couldn't, continue, the break in between, but eventually, here I am. I'm done. And all I just want to say is, I thank God.